Welcome back. This is Sandy with Sandy's Organized Chaos, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make this Torn Nebula Tumbler. This is extremely easy. I know you guys got this. So if you're new to my channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any more tips, vlogs, tutorials, all kinds of stuff I have coming your way. So let's wake up, prep those tumblers, and slay all day. Let's do this. So for the base of this tumbler, I am using my color shifting glitter that I sell at my shop. If you want to check that out, you can. www.socglitters.com. This is called Dragon, and I'm just going to show you guys how I like to apply it to my tumbler. The first thing I like to do is try to match up the base color with the glitter that you're using. That really helps out if there's any little spots that didn't quite get that glitter. It just really helps fill everything in. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I kind of layer on my epoxy a little bit thick. And the reason why I like to do that is because you really want these glitters to lay completely flat in order for you to achieve that color shift that you see on the bag there. These particular glitters have a tendency, if they get piled up, they lose that color shift and the color is a little bit more muted than it should be. So that's why I like to apply just a little bit thicker of my epoxy, just so that way that glitter has room to shift and move around and lay completely flat. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to sprinkle my glitter all over the place. I'm just going to sprinkle it to the point where it's filled in. As you can see, my bottom here, it's nice and filled in. And I'm just going to continue to do that around my entire tumbler. Then I'm going to place it onto my turner and let it spin and cure for about 3 to 8 hours. Then after that, I'm going to take it off of the turner. I will hit it up with some clear spray, and then I will apply my epoxy again over top so that way we have a nice smooth base for that nebula look that we're about to do. So the reason why I like to spray a spray sealer over top, I like to use Rust-Oleum's 2x Ultra Clear for that. The reason why I do that is it just really helps out with any fisheyes that may occur. Sometimes these glitters have a tendency to wick away your epoxy, and it just really helps that epoxy hold on to something. And as you guys know, the epoxy that I prefer is Alumilite's Amazing Clear Cast, but please feel free to use any type of epoxy you enjoy using. Now that that second coat is applied, I'm going to go ahead and put on my turner and let that spin for another 3 to 4 hours. Then I will pull it off and let it continue to cure for another 12 to 24 hours. All right, let's get to some painting, shall we? All right, we're outside and I have some white here. I just use Rust-Oleum paint plus primer. It doesn't matter, whatever white you have on hand. And I'm also going to be using a black as well. And for the masking off part of where our nebula will be, I'm going to use the Dawn Powerwash spray. Okay, so we have our tumbler. It's all ready to go and be painted here. Look at those colors, so pretty. Okay, so I was thinking about a V. I wanted a V and another inverted V on the other side. So I'm going to take my Powerwash spray and I'm just going to spray paint, or not spray paint, but spray my Powerwash in a V section on my tumbler. So I wanted it very concentrated where I wanted this V to be. So as you can see, I'm holding my Powerwash spray very close to my tumbler to make sure that it's very concentrated in those areas. Then I'm going to kind of mask off the outside for any overspray that may occur. Then I'm going to come through and do just a couple more splotches on the inside to give it that splotchy look we all love. Now I'm going to take my black spray paint. I'm going to spray it up really well. And then I am going to take my hose and wash it off right after I do the black. And there we go. We have our first little V section for our nebula. I want to add some white to it as well, and I'm very impatient, so I'm going to take a paper towel and I'm just going to kind of dab it on my tumbler. Now, some of the color will come off with it, so you just want to be very careful. Like I said, I could have waited for it to dry completely on its own, but I'm impatient, so I'm just going to dab it like this. So you could either take your Powerwash spray like I'm about to do, or you could just spritz the white right onto the tumbler. I'm going to do both ways, but here I'm just going to do the V again, spray my white, wash it off really good, And there you have a little white center there. Now the white center wasn't big enough for me. I wanted it a little bit bigger. So I went ahead and I just kind of turned my tumbler at an angle after I dried it off a little bit and spritzed my white paint onto my tumbler just like that. On the back, I'm going to do the same exact thing, but on the back, I'm going to kind of invert my V shape here to offset the other side. So I'm going to have the V coming from the bottom up, and I'm just going to spray it with my power wash, spray it black, rinse it off, dab it off a little bit, spray some white on, and it'll be ready to start painting that nebula. As you can see, there was just a little too much soap, so I wiped it off my finger. It's as easy as that. So simple to use this power wash spray. And also, you don't have to do a V shape. That's the great thing about art. Wherever your imagination takes you, let it take you there. There is no right or wrong when it comes to doing art. If you'd rather do a swirl completely around your tumbler, you could do it that way. If you'd rather just do blotches of the torn galaxy throughout your tumbler, you could do it that way. The same goes for the base color that I used. I actually started off with a full fabric wrap, and that was the first time I did this concept, which you guys might have seen that tutorial, and I just decided it needed something a little extra. So that's when I first came up with this concept. So it doesn't even matter if it's glittered and not glittered, fabric, it could be anything, wherever your imagination takes you. All right, we are back inside, and I let my tumbler dry for about 15-20 minutes. That's about all it really took before I can start painting with my alcohol inks on here. But before I start anything, I am going to go ahead and clean up any overspray that might have occurred on those areas that I don't want overspray. So I'm going to simply take my rubbing alcohol and I'm going to wipe it all over my tumbler, just rubbing in areas that I don't want that extra overspray on. And then I'm going to take my acetone and I'm going to come in and clean out the inside of my tumbler as well. You just want 100% acetone to clean out any of that overspray on the inside. So I'm going to go ahead and clean it up really quick, and then we'll move on to that next step. While picking out your colors, if you're having a hard time, just do a simple Google search for nebulas and you can find some really amazing color schemes on there. So this is the image that I am using for my colors. I'm going to be using blue, yellow, purple, and some brown. You just want to try to keep it as simple as possible with your colors. So everything that I'm using, I'll make sure to put into the description below, but you guys know I absolutely love Christy Taylor inks. Today I'm going to be using the Aphrodite purple that she has and her Bridget blue, and then I'm just using some yellow from Tim Holtz as well. I'm just going to give those a really good shake before I use them, because especially with the Christy Taylor inks, there's little spectral spirits in there which make it shimmer and shine, so you want to make sure that's nice and shook up before you use it. The brush I'm using is just a little basic brush. Doesn't, nothing fancy. Whatever you have on hand to use, whatever you like to use to do your alcohol inks, that's all you got to use. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay my blue down, and then after I lay my blue down all over my tumbler, I'm going to do it on the front and the back. It'll just kind of give me an idea of how I want these patterns to form, because it's not really up to me as to where I want it to be. It's more of how it all just starts to shape together on its own without me doing it. I know it sounds weird, maybe not. I don't know. You guys might get it, but it's almost like the inks just have a mind of their own and want to do their own thing. So just trust the process, trust what the inks want to do, and this will turn out just fine. Once I have my blue down, I'm going to come through with my purple, and I started off just dabbing it on the outside, but then it turned into me just kind of dripping it onto the tumbler itself, and not so much pushing the inks around, but kind of letting it just develop on its own and just pushing all the other colors out of its way and making it look more cloud-like, just like how nebulas look in the sky. This entire process is completely abstract. Not one of these will be exactly the same. Each one is going to be completely different. And that's what makes alcohol ink so absolutely wonderful to me, because not two tumblers will ever be the same. Once I got my purple all around my tumbler the way I want, now I'm just going to come through and have some fun with some yellow, because just like in that picture, there was just a little touch of yellow here and there. So it's okay if it runs outside of that little area that you have it. I think it looks even neater outside onto the epoxy in that glittered area as well. So all I did was just take little dabs here and there and just kind of layer it up. You can see I'm just helping the inks. I'm not dabbing it too much. I don't want to fade it too much because I really like that ring that it makes on the outside there. So I'm just going to kind of let it do its thing. Going to add a touch of brown. I just used some teak wood because I have a whole bunch of that and it was nearby, so that's what I used. But I just did a little bit on the outside of what will be the front side of my tumbler here. So I know most of the time I just kind of speed things up, or I kind of just do bits and pieces of things because I know a lot of people don't really like long tutorials, but I'm going to kind of show you exactly what I did in order to make this nebula look. So I'm just going to kind of let the video do its thing and show you guys exactly how I did this process. Right, now that I have this all done up kind of the way I would like, now I just want to come through and kind of smooth it out just even more. So I'm going to take some rubbing alcohol, spritz it right onto my brush, and just continue to dab around and blend everything together until I get exactly the look that I want. All right, well, I hope you guys enjoyed me painting there for a minute there. I just feel like, how are you guys supposed to know how to do it if I don't fully show you? So I just didn't really want to water down my video here today. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching it. All right, now we are going to move on to the star part of our nebula. I have my crafting glue here, which is just Mod Podge. And then I'm going to take my finger and I'm just going to rub it all over the outside of that nebula area. I'm going to keep it all right in that black area. Now this process is completely up to you. You could add as little or as much of these little stars as you want, or no stars at all, or just your favorite shiny silver glitter that you have, however you would like to do it. But if you'd like to use this specific glitter, this is called Stellar, and I sell this in my glitter shop as well. Now, an interesting fact that maybe some of you might not know, but nebulas are actually the little star incubators of the universe. Well, they're actually not little, they're actually quite massive, but that is where all of our stars come from that are in our universe. Pretty interesting, I thought. You have your stars exactly the way you'd like them, placed around the outside here. Then you're just going to want to let that dry. It took about 10-15 minutes because there's not that much glue on there. After I let that dry, I went ahead and I sprayed it really well with my 2x ultra clear spray. There we go. Had a hard time saying that. I went ahead and gave that a nice good spray. I mixed up my Alumilite Amazing Clear Cast, and I'm going to apply that to my tumbler. Now, after I let that spin and cure, I'm going to probably add one more coat to it just to make sure it's nice and thick on there, and then I won't take my first sip out of it for at least 7 days. Whether you take this design and duplicate it as is, or you take it and let it inspire you to create something that is completely your own, I hope that you guys had a lot of fun watching this tutorial today. If you're new to my channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys next time.